Okay, great. Hello, my name is Kelly Blumenthal. I am the Acting Director of the IAU's Office for Astronomy Outreach, and welcome to this interview series celebrating LGBTQIA+ astronomers. This week, in honor of the UN Free and Equal and the GLAAD anti-bullying campaign called Spirit Day, we are highlighting some amazing stories of perseverance and activism from queer astronomers around the globe. So in this interview, you will hear from René Ortega Minakata, an astronomer and outreach professional at the Public Outreach and Scientific Communication Department of the Institute of Radioastronomy and Astrophysics at the National Autonomous University of Mexico. So René, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for calling me to do this interview.
So to start us off, please just tell us a little bit about yourself, and please don't be afraid to brag. What are you most proud of in your career?
Well, I am an astronomer. I did a PhD in astrophysics, and then I slowly moved towards the outreach and science communication part of academics, of the job. I've been doing it since the International Year of Astronomy in 2009. I was a freshly graduated physics student, and I was just starting my master's degree. That's how I got into this. What am I most proud of? That's a very difficult thing to answer, to be honest. I was thinking a little bit about it, and the one thing that came into my mind was I'm very proud of actually getting a job in this in outreach and science communication, because it's here in Mexico there are not many positions available where you actually get paid in an institution to do science communication. Many people do it basically as a hobby in a way, or researchers do it by themselves. But positions for science communication they are not very common. So I'm actually very proud of actually getting the job in the first place.
So I guess in response to this pride in being able to find a job in public outreach, public engagement in astronomy, what's been your experience as a member of the queer community in such a public-facing job, and has this evolved over time?
I think it has evolved over time. In the beginning, I wasn't very out. It's not that I was in the closet, but I wasn't completely out either. And it's only been in the past few years that I have been more open about who I am. So I think that has evolved. My experience in general it has been positive. I think I haven't found much discrimination or comments or stuff. Although there has been some moments where you find some homophobic comments or people who are transphobic or stuff like that, and that is always kind of it's a letdown. You expect people who are educated to be educated in that as well, and that is not always the case. Or sometimes it is. I have found that it's even not only not the case always, it is rarely the case. So, but in general, I think I have in general a positive experience, but it has evolved over time. Now I do feel a little bit more free to be who I am out there. But also I am okay. My sort of queerness is kind of sort of internal in a way. So that is my personality. So it's not something that if I'm in a public event or something that comes out naturally all the time. So it's still, I feel sometimes that it's still a bit sort of hidden, but it's not that I'm hiding it on purpose. It's just that that's kind of the way I am. But at the same time, I sometimes feel like, I could be more out there.
That's really interesting because, it is this issue of that what people say is passing. I don't know if that's necessarily the greatest
Yes.
term, but being able to kind of hide behind what everybody expects you to be based on how you look or based on how you act or speak or anything like that. And it can kind of, I've found it to be a little invalidating at times, but it's good to have people that that know who you are and able to be yourself with the people that you want to be with.
Yes.
So to that effect, this idea of having people around you to make you feel comfortable in a space that you feel like you can truly be yourself. How do you think we could or should make astronomy a safe place for people, for future generations of queer astronomers, particularly in the work that you do?
I think that we should be doing more to educate ourselves as a community, particularly regarding to regarding of how diverse diversity actually is, because I think we're still kind of in step one when the queer community is on step, I don't know, 20 or something like that. It feels like there is a gap in between how much we know about diversity as a community, as an academic and astronomical community, and how much diverse people really are. And that I think that is going to present a real challenge in future years, because young people tend to be much more open and accepting, and they are much more educated about diversity, and they are much more open about who they are, and they are coming into an environment that has a lot of older people that need to know more, need to be more educated about this. So I think that's something that we could do to make this a safer place to educate more ourselves. And also, I think that as an institution, we could be more careful of or more minding, if you, more minding of the people who have complained in the past about discrimination or about bias, particularly regarding the queer community, because I think that as institutions, we have been very slow in taking action, and when there have been complaints. So I think those two things we could do as a community. And talking more about what I do, which is science communication and outreach, I think that if we show people, the general public people, everyone out there, that we can be accepting and we can be diverse, and then there might be other people who identify as queer or as LGBTQIA plus, and see, okay, I can also be an astronomer, or I can also be a science communicator. And I think that here in at least in Mexico, there is still a lot of stigma, and some people, I'm not going to say that everybody, but some people still think of queer people as in very stereotypical terms. So there's even the classic jokes that are still told out there in the street about queer people being hairdressers or stuff like that. And sometimes I feel that if we could show that queer people are everywhere, including in science, then more people out there would be comfortable thinking that they, first of all, comfortable thinking that they have queer people around them, but also people could say, okay, I am a queer person, and I can be anything I want. I can be an astronomer if I wish, or an educator or a science communicator. So I think that's something that is important for me, and something that we could do also. Like if we could be more out there, then we could impact that in people.
Yeah, representation is so important.
Yes.
You know, the importance of role models is the theme that keeps on coming up, and I've said that a bunch of times in the other interviews that I've had. But it's so deeply important for
Yes,
people to be
very
able
much.
to know, yeah, that they're not alone in this. So again, you're just setting me up for each question. It's great. So if you could go back in time to when you first started pursuing a career in astronomy and then a career in public engagement, what advice would you give to your former self?
First of all, maybe to be a little bit less afraid of being myself. I think I was afraid for too long, and there were people there ready to accept me, and I didn't trust people, that people would accept me. So I think that I would advise myself to be a little bit less afraid. Um, and also, I think I would advise myself to be more vocal when I saw things that weren't right, or where things that weren't right happened to me. I think I stayed silent and too many times, and I think even once is too many times. And I did stay silent more than once. And I think that being vocal in in a good way, in the sense that not to make, I mean, not to make a fight just for making a fight, but I think I would advise myself to talk more when I saw things that I knew that weren't right. Um, yes, I think those two things I would advise myself.
That's really nice. That's a really nice thing. So my final question for you is just if you have any final thoughts for future generations of LGBTQIA plus astronomers. Anything you'd like to say to them?
Well, first of all, don't be afraid. Uh, uh, there are people here that will always accept you and love you for who you are, uh, regardless of who this person you are. So I want to say that, and particularly people here in Mexico and in Latin America, where sometimes it feels that we are kind of lagging behind sometimes. Um, that if you look a little bit more deep into our community, I mean the astronomical community, we are definitely here, and we will accept you, and we will fight for you to be who you are, and for you to be an astronomer if you want to be an astronomer or a science communicator. So yeah, that.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a really lovely conversation. I
Thank
hope you have
you.
a lovely day, and I hope we get to talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.